Mitt, we are absolutely thrilled that you are back in Michigan. We are absolutely thrilled with the model of leadership that you established in Massachusetts, and we just want to welcome you to Michigan and let you know that I guess, selfishly, I'm glad he didn't come back to Michigan. He'd be a great governor of Michigan too. But if you can't have the best thing, maybe second best is all right. But Mitt, we are absolutely thrilled that you're here today. Come on up. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Pete. Thank you. Thanks, buddy. Thank you. Thank you. Boy, it is good to be back in my old home state where my life began, where I lived my first 19 years. It feels like home. I see friendly faces, some who I remember from those years ago in the 60s and 70s when this was my home, still the home for my brother and my sister, and of course a lot of my nieces and nephews. It's a great state. It's a remarkable state. And I'm going to talk a bit about people like the Van Andels who built this extraordinary building and introduced us today, and some of the innovators and pioneers, and why it is I'm endorsing Pete Hoekstra as the next governor of Michigan. There is something about this state and about our entire land, but in particular, you think about the history of this state, and you recognize there's something unique and unusual here. When it comes to the economy, and Michiganders recognize that the economy is what it's all about. If your economy is going well, that means you're able to give people good jobs. People have good jobs, they're going to be paying taxes, and that means they can afford good schools, and you can care for your seniors, and good things happen if the economy is cooking. And if the economy is not doing well, why, it's a real tough time for all of the citizens. And so people here, perhaps more than most states in the country, recognize the economy is what it's all about. And Michigan has an unusual spirit when it comes to the economy. I'm going to step back just to illustrate what I mean. Christmas time, I was shopping for my grandkids. I was at Walmart, pushing a shopping cart, and I was in the checkout line. I looked around the Walmart store, and I said, you know what? This store kind of reminds me of Sam Walton himself. Now, I never met Sam Walton, but what I read about him was that he was a guy that liked low prices on everything people wanted, and he was not a highly organized guy. He was more impetuous. And you go in that store, it's got low prices on everything you can imagine. But it's not terribly well organized. Have you noticed? I mean, it's not like a Target store, everything all laid out just so. It's kind of like Sam. And I thought, a lot of businesses I've come to know over the years reflect their founders. Apple Computers, a lot like Steve Jobs in terms of its character. The culture at Microsoft is more like Bill Gates. You have a company like Virgin Atlantic Airways. It's kind of irreverent and edgy, just like the founder, Richard Branson. Now, what's true of businesses, I've found, is also true of educational institutions, charities. They reflect the people who founded them and who built them over the years. This state and this country of ours reflect the nature of those that founded these places. Go back to the folks that decided to come to America from the far-off shores of other places. They took the risk to come here, many losing their lives on the boats getting here, many losing their lives once they got here. These were people who put opportunity and pioneering at the top of their list and risked even their lives to be able to seize freedom and opportunity and their own pathway through life. And then there were the founders themselves of the country who wrote the Declaration of Independence and ultimately the Constitution. They said, instead of being guided by a strong central government, a king who tells us what we can make and how we can make it and where we can ship it and how much we're going to get paid, instead, we're going to let people choose the path of their heart, choose their own dreams. And as a result of that decision, people from all over the world came to this land because it was the place of opportunity. America, and Michigan, as much as any other state I know, has been a place of opportunity where innovators, creators, pioneers came. It's in our DNA. It's who we are. And government in Lansing and government in Washington has been smothering that spirit of innovation, and we cannot let them do it anymore. We've got... They smother it when they take more and more out of people's pockets and make it more and more difficult for small businesses, sub-S corporations, and LLCs and others to get going. They smother it when they put cap and trade on the table and say we're not going to know how much our energy costs are going to be. They smother it with card checks, saying we're going to force unions into businesses where the employees themselves wouldn't want it by secret ballot. They're smothering it by spending way too much money. You can't take in a small amount and spend a large amount without making it more difficult for people to want to make investments with dollars when they don't know what the dollars are going to be worth in the future. That smothering of the spirit of entrepreneurship and innovation and technology is something which Michigan has learned it can't afford, and the nation is learning it can't afford either. And so we've got to make sure that we stand up for the values that keep that American spirit of enterprise and innovation and pioneering alive and thriving. And that's why I'm supporting Pete Hoekstra. This is a guy whose life has been in the private sector. He's seen how the private sector works and what it takes to get a business up and growing and how jobs come and how jobs go. He's a family man devoted to his wife and loved ones. He's a religious individual. He believes in things bigger than himself. And I believe that's a true test of the kind of character you want in leadership. And he's going to do what it actually takes. What it actually takes to get Michigan strong again. I can't wait to see him as governor and to see from Lansing the kind of changes that make it easier for people of all stripes and backgrounds to want to come to this state, to grow here, to expand businesses here, to hire more people, to make this the kind of state it once was, when people came from all over the world, not just to America, but to Michigan. At one point, the highest GDP per capita of any state in America. This was the place, and it still is the place. You've got great people, great institutions of higher learning, great technology. There's nothing holding back Michigan besides its government. So let's make a change and make sure that the kind of leadership we see keeps Michigan strong and bright and make sure we remain the hope we've always been. Thanks, you guys. Good to be with you. Thank you, Pete.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Mitt. That's very kind, and thank you again for being here. Mitt has become a great friend, and just a wonderful person to get to know and to listen to, and more and better things will be ahead as well.